All right, what's up, everybody? What's going on? All right, what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome. Thanks for coming to the live. I am in Vieques, Puerto Rico right now. I live in Puerto Rico, but I'm on a little island off the coast of Puerto Rico right now called Vieques. So it's just a tiny little island. There's a bunch of horses, some restaurants, and some cool shit out here. So if anybody has any questions at all about passing and taking their exam, going through their course, just put it in the chat. All right. Share the YouTube live all as well with anybody else who's who you know is taking it or who wants to get on it. There's gonna be a lot of noise. People got loud cars. I forgot my AirPods. So um, if you guys want me, I can do a bunch of stuff here. All right, so I can do some stuff if you guys want. You can put any questions you have in the chat, but also um, anything at all. Like I can cover practice exam questions. I think I'm gonna do that today. I think I'm gonna cover some practice exam questions. So let me just pull up my Google Docs here, and that usually helps people. Okay, so I'm actually going to share my screen with everybody. How long do you recommend studying to pass with no previous knowledge? So this is a really, really good question. Okay, so Anchored Solar, right there. Anchored Solar said, how long do you recommend studying to pass with no previous knowledge? So I highly, highly recommend that you. So everybody learns at different rates. All right, I would try to get through it quick as you can. The thing is, I would plan on studying like 3 hours a day, like 2 to 3 hours a day. Don't, because once you get your license for insurance, like you're not going to use most of the stuff in this course, right? Like when I sell for what I do, I don't use like any of the stuff. So it's just getting through the course. First, I want you to understand that like how well you do on the test has nothing to do with how successful you're going to be once you get in the business. So it's got nothing to do with it, right? So I'd recommend studying until you can get an 80 to 85% on the practice exams without don't not using Chat GPT. That don't count. So like if you're like, oh, I'm doing really good on the practice tests, but you're using Chat GPT and Google to cheat, like you're not doing well on the practice test, right? You're using something else. And you're not going to have a practice test when you actually sit to take the real exam, or you're taking it online. So you definitely want to, I would say, study until you can get 80 to 85% on all those practice tests. All right. That's what I recommend doing. If that makes sense. So go through, make sure you get the vocab words down, watch the videos. Look, I majored in chemistry. I don't use it at all, but I went to college for chemistry, and that's a lot of studying. So, like, my tip to you is know everything, know as much as you can, and then take the test, and you're gonna pass. Like, I do stuff 110%. So, like, if I'm like, oh, if the score to pass is 70, I'm gonna try to get a 90. Now everybody learns at different rates, like I said, but do it until you can take the practice exams really well. So I'm going to do that right now. So thank you for asking that question. I'm going to share my screen. I forgot how I share my screen on my iPad. 1 second. I think like that view. I got maybe I can't share. What the heck? Rosen, I don't know, man. Maybe it ain't let me share my screen anymore. This is weird. I shared my screen last time. Let me see settings. No issues. Nope. No items. Maybe I can. Need assets. Hey, anybody else have any questions? Just drop them in the chat there while I'm trying to figure this out because I don't know what the heck. Did they prohibit it? I don't know. I don't see anything prohibited, Rose, and I just see normally I can share my screen, but for whatever reason, it's not letting me here. So let me see what I can do here. It's all good. What I can do, I can put some of the questions in the chat. All right, I'll put some questions in the chat, so that'll be cool. So I'm gonna do this. So these are practice exam questions. Oh, what the heck? Okay, there we go. Perfect. So the primary purpose of life insurance is A, to provide coverage. So by the way, these practice exam questions are from my actual practice exams that I sell. So these ones, if you can get these questions, if you can get an 85% on my practice exams without using any help, like you're going to do really well. Hold on, we're in Puerto Rico, so. A popular a popular thing here is people have sound systems that are more expensive than their actual car. So you're going to hear that a lot. Purpose of life insurance is to provide coverage for medical expenses, to replace lost income after retirement, to transfer the risk of death to an insurer, or to accumulate wealth for financial purposes, for investment purposes. So the purpose of, hey, Ruby, I'm sorry. So the purpose of life insurance is to transfer risk. Okay. The purpose of any insurance is to transfer risk. That's the main thing. So when you get insurance, what you're saying is like, so when you get life insurance, pretty much what you're saying is like, I can't afford to die, right? My family can't afford for me to die. So I'm going to get this insurance. That way, if I die, someone else will pay for it. By the way, look at this cool art behind me here, right? Isn't that pretty cool? We got this whole like mural. Isn't that pretty cool? Decided this was the stage we're going to pick. But so the answer is it's a transfer of risk. Look at me sweating already. Dang. But insurance, it's so you get car insurance, you legally have to. But essentially, what you're saying is like, I can't afford to get in a car accident because I can't afford to fix my car and the other person's car if we get in an accident. I can't afford to fix their neck if it breaks in an accident. So the purpose of insurance is a transfer of risk. I'm going to go through the next question. I have here. Put this in the chat. There we go. Okay. A type of insurance company that's owned by its policyholders and may pay dividends to them is A, stock insurance company, B, medical mutual insurance company, C, captive insurance company, or D, reinsurance company. So the correct answer there is marked with an X. I'm taking these from my actual practice exams too, guys, that I normally charge for. But the company that's owned by Paul's, by the way, if you have any questions, please just drop them in the chat. Okay, anything about your test, your state, what to look for, what it's going to be like once you get going, anything at all. Mutual insurance company. So what I want you to understand is a mutual insurance company. I want you to think like mutual, like everybody's involved. They have a mutual interest. Mutual insurance companies potentially pay dividends to their policyholders. Yeah, I'm from Massachusetts, Immaculata, actually. What city are you from? Put it in the chat. I'm from Leominster. So Immaculata's like, hey, I'm taking the test in Massachusetts. So that's it's a mutual insurance company. So there's going to be questions on your exam about stock companies and mutual companies. You need to understand the difference. Peabody, oh, okay, cool. You know I'm from Mass when I call it Peabody, not Peabody. Peabody. I lived in Stoughton for a while. So, but yeah, so Texas, what's up, Shan? Shan over here, she's in Texas. So, mutual insurance company is, you want to know the difference between stock and mutual. That's it. Next question here. Okay, here we go. Oh, you took it. Yeah. Dude, Massachusetts test is no joke because they use PSI. What test are you taking, Immaculata? Or what course are you using? I don't know if you're using mine or what, but put what course you're using in the chat. Myrtle Beach. Ruby over in Myrtle Beach. Nice. Get your little shout out there, Ruby. So the funds set aside by an insurance company to pay future claims are known as actuarial pools, company assets, reserves, or surplus accounts. It's reserves. So reserves, before an insurance company can become an insurance company, they have to have money set aside. It's called reserves. And they take this money and they put it in an account. The state will not let them be a company before they have this money. So they have to have enough money to pay the claims that they're going to be liable for. So, hey, we have this money reserved. I want you to think of reserves as like a piggy bank to cover any. Yeah. So the thing is, Immaculata. Anyways, hold on. I'm gonna finish this. So reserves are the money that the insurance company reserves to cover any claims that may happen. Like, hey, we're gonna keep this on reserve just in case we have to pay out and file a claim, right? Or pay a claim. Yeah, Excel's tough, man. It's the thing is, those questions, they don't really cater to the different exam types that are out there. So I made my practice exams and materials so that it's like catered to each state's different way of asking questions. Maybe you had a different experience, but a lot of people I see take Excel and then they go through and they take Massachusetts and New Hampshire exams. They're like, man, the questions were just different, um, worded different. But I figured it out. So we made questions that are worded very similar. Melbourne, Florida, what up? Our home office is in Vero Beach. So that's super cool. For my insurance agency, home office is in Vero Beach, not far away. 2300 Third Court, Vero Beach, Florida, 32960. I actually got my rims on my car fixed in Melbourne. I scratched them at the drive-through at the bank. I was so pissed. I literally just bought this car. It was like my dream car growing up as a kid. I bought it. I got sick rims and it had low pro tires. And I'm pulling out of the ATM at the bank, and I scratched the rims on the cement like aisle because I couldn't see it. And I was like, oh my god, I've had this car for less than 2 days, and I already scratched the rims. So I brought it to a car shop in Melbourne, and they fixed the wheels. Thank God. It was only a couple $100. I was like, dude, I was panicking, but they did a really good. You can't even tell that it was damaged. Really good job. Yeah, I was so pissed, Gary. I was like, oh my god. Next question though. And guys, stick around to the end. If everybody sticks around to the end, I'm gonna hook everybody up with a solid deal on some stuff. So stick around to the end because I'm gonna be going over a bunch of these questions here. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna put it in the chat soon because some people end up leaving because these hoes ain't loyal, as Chris Brown says. Here we go. There we go. So I'm gonna put the next question. Yeah. My full course only at $97. Yeah. So the full course only 97. I'm gonna put the practice exam. So in a second here. So a client wants a life insurance policy that provides both lifelong coverage and the ability to accumulate cash value. Which policy would be which policy would be the best option? So lifelong, you want to think whole life. Cash value, you're thinking whole life. So in here, the thing is, you need to know your vocabulary words, because if you know the definition of whole life insurance, you're going to know that, oh, I see lifelong coverage and I see cash value, whole life right away. You're going to know that. Okay. So that's really important to know, guys. I'm telling you, this is just a big vocabulary test, and I really, 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 really push on this stuff. But okay, so actually, I'm going through those practice exam questions right now. I can't share my screen, but I'm copy pasting from my actual practice questions. So I made these questions for every state. So some of the ones I'm going through might be applicable to your state. I'm covering PSI exam questions. But if you're in a state that has Prometric or Pearson VUE, then that's okay. Either way, in the link I put in the chat for my practice exams, if you buy those after you pay, so what happens is you pay, it's only $37 for 5 to 6 exams. Normally you're going to pay like 40 for one, something like that. So you get 37 for 5 to 6. They're optimized using AI to mimic your actual exam. Like we have people who actually sit and take those exams, and then we take the questions and then make ones that are very similar, right? And if you're in states that are, it doesn't matter. So after you pay, it's only $37 for my YouTube viewers. After you pay, you select your state. So you pay and then you fill out a form and you select the state you're in, and you're enrolled right then into those practice exams for that state. So they'll be matched exactly like the format that you're going to see in your state. All the state laws, all the general content questions for life and health and health. So HIIP medical plan, late enrollees may be excluded from King's. Macula, if you, HIPAA medical plan, late enrollees may be excluded for pre-existing conditions. For I think it's in my course. All that information, I don't remember exactly, to be honest. I'm not just saying this to get you to like buy a course. I'm really not 100% on that. Let me check here. Hold on. I don't even know where the link to my course is. It's supposed to be in the description of my videos, but I can't find it. It's whatever. If you get the practice exams, so if you, I don't know where it is. Okay, whatever. If you get the practice exams, Maculata, then for it's okay. Yeah, HIPAA. So HIPAA is a law that it's the Health Insurance Portability Act, something like that. So it's Health Insurance Information Portability Act, something like that. It's HIPAA is just a law that says you can't share people's personal health information. That's what HIPAA is. There's something with pre-existing conditions. It's like 60 days or 90 days or something like that. They just try to prevent adverse selection by people enrolling just because they have health problems, right? So the practice exams that are right there, after that, you get the option to buy the course. So, yeah. And just for everybody here, the practice exams, if you get the practice exams there, the next thing it's going to tell you to get is the course for $97. Now, if you get both of them, what I'm going to do today, you pay $37.97, and then you just shoot me an email. You guys have all, I'm sure everybody here has my email. Okay. And we'll give you $37 back. So you just pay for them both, then just email us and hey, and I'll just refund you $37. So that it's $97 for everything together. The course, the practice exams, everything else. But what I put there in the link was the practice exam questions. I'm going to go to the next question here on the list. I'm not totally sure of your question. I can understand where the confusion might come from, Maculata, because the question, I'm a little lost there. But my health insurance portion is much more clear than Excel stuff in ExamFX. So Excel's a great course. I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's just written through the lens of someone who like knows too much. So I tried to make mine so it's a lot easier to understand. Like Rosen said, who his friend took it and had a lot easier. So Ruby said, if a person fails the exam, is there a waiting period before taking the exam again? It depends how many times they failed, and it depends on their state. I know you're in Myrtle Beach. I don't know. South Carolina's lost. I don't know. I think you can take it within a few days. But I encourage everybody to just take the exam the first time. Study until you feel like you're pretty good with it, and then take the test. Worst case, you fail, and then they'll tell you what you need to get better at, right? It's not like the end of the world. So worst case, you fail, and then you know what you need to improve on, and then take it again. It's not like high school where if you fail, you're like worthless. Honestly, it's like a good thing to go in and fail it because, okay, cool, I'm going to go in and fail. Cool. I know what I need to work on. Now I'm going to go back, study those things, and go back and pass. Which of the following individuals would benefit the most from purchasing an annuity? A 28-year-old looking for temporary life insurance coverage, a 40-year-old wanting to protect their mortgage balance, a 65-year-old retiree seeking guaranteed income for life, or a college student seeking low-cost financial protection. So when you hear annuity, you want to be thinking income stream. Life insurance pays out a big chunk of money to someone who didn't have it before. An annuity is when they take money and give it to someone else, give it to an insurance company, and then they get paid over time. piece by piece. So the life insurance company takes a bunch of money from the, so say I retire with $1 million. I'm going to give it to the insurance company because I say, hey, I don't want to have $1 million in my account because I might outlive this money. I'm going to spend it. I can't control my spending like that. So they'll give it to the life insurance company and they'll say, hey, take this money and give me like $1,000 a month for the next 1,000 months or whatever, right? Whatever the payment ends up being, I don't know. But that's how an annuity works. So that question, which of the following individuals would benefit most from purchasing an annuity? All those questions that are like the most, like an annuity could really help anybody, right? In their situation, there's annuities that could help anybody. But on those questions, yeah, the $37 practice exam discount is still on. Yeah. Yeah, there were a few people recently who did pass. They were on YouTube. They took them together. They bought them and then like all shared them and then they passed. So, yeah. So, yeah, so a 65. So you want one of those questions that are like, which of these would be the best answer? It doesn't mean that there's only one right answer, but it's which is the most right. And that's why it's so important to take good practice exams, guys, because if you take practice exams that don't ask questions like that, you're like you're screwed. You're just left in the dark. Like you have no idea what's going on, and it leaves you to feel frustrated. You sit in the exam and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this was nothing like what I studied." It's on the same material, but it gives you anxiety because you're just exposed to something totally different. It's just a total different way of doing it. It's like I'm learning how to surf, right? I snowboard. Surfing and snowboarding are similar, but they're different. So it's like, whoa, I'm on water now, not frozen water. I'm on liquid water. Okay, another question. Keep the questions coming, everybody, in the chat, too. I appreciate it. Means a lot. Oh, this is a good one. This is such a good question. I shouldn't even be putting it in the chat here. This is like cheating. This is like cheating on your exam. All right. What the heck? Yeah, Immaculate said, hey, this happened to me, right? So that's the thing, Immaculata. Immaculata, what happened is you were, so it asks questions on the same material, but when you go in and you're like, what the heck? I'm not used to that way of asking the question. You get so comfortable with one way and then you're like, oh my gosh, you just panic and you just, because we get that whole test anxiety thing. So let me see if the question goes in the chat again. It was going weird. Okay, perfect. The following are strategies used by insurance companies to manage risk, except reinsurance agreements. Reinsurance is when one company pays another company to, it's when one company buys insurance for another company. So like they get insurance on their insurance policies. So if I'm an insurance company and I'm buying reinsurance, it's like, hey, I want someone to help me if too many people file claims. So that's a way to manage risk. Risk pooling is another way. And then guaranteed coverage to all applicants without underwriting. That is not a way to manage risk. That's a way to lose a bunch of money really fast. Hey, we're going to give everyone coverage no matter what. And guess what? The only people who want coverage are sick and old people. Duh. The people who want life insurance coverage the most are the people who are about to die, right? The people who want car insurance coverage the most are the people who are bad at driving. The people who want health insurance are the people who are fat and sick. The law of large numbers. Can you please clarify it? Yes. So law of large numbers means that the insurance. So law of large numbers means that the more people, and I mean to offend anybody like that. It's just true. I'm just being true. So the law of large numbers is that the more people involved in the group, the more likely the statistics are going to match up. Okay. So for instance, if you have a group of 100 people that buy insurance, well, let me think of this. Okay, perfect. If you're like one in 100,000 people has HIV or something like that, right? If there's a group of 100 people and one person has it, then that makes it a lot riskier of a group because now it's 1 in 100, right? But if you have a group of 100,000 people, then that statistic is more likely to average out. All right. It's like insurance agents. There's a statistic that a certain amount of people who get their license are actually going to make it through their first year. That law of large numbers has to do with statistics. It means the bigger the sample size, the larger the number of people, the more likely is the statistic is to play out. So if it's like Immaculata, if it's like if 65% of people pass their insurance exam on the first attempt, that's going to be more accurate if you take 10,000 people than if you take 3 people, right? Because what if you take 3 people and they all passed? 100% of people pass their insurance exam on the first try. So it's like when they do polling, say for like an election, right? When they do a polling for an election, they can't they can't ask 5 people, who are you voting for? They have to ask like 500,000 people. Are the questions on the state exam the same ones at Exam FX? Because I have them all memorized. Probably not. Some of them might be similar. I don't know what state you're in, Lawan. I don't know what state you're in. So Lawanda asked, are the questions on the state exam the same as the ones in Exam FX? Because I have them all memorized. I don't know. Not sure. Florida? I don't know. I think they're pretty similar. But this is the thing, though. I mean, you want to know the concepts too. Like I hate when people are like, when they tell people, I've hired 100 to 150 insurance agents a week for the last 3 years. That's why I made this course, because people were failing. If you just go through and take the practice exams, yeah, there's a good chance you can do well, right, and get it down and have an understanding of it. But also, it's random. Like they're always coming up with new questions too. So, I would say if you know all the questions and the answers, you have a good chance of doing well. But yeah, yeah, you were. So you have a good chance of doing well. But like, I don't know. I mean, I can't guarantee you're going to pass just because you memorize those. Exam FX is a good course. They're a huge company. They've gotten so many people passing. They've been around a long time. They got more people passing than I have, 100%. Actually, I took Exam FX. Now, I studied the course though. I got like a 97 on my test, or 96, something like that. I'm also like obsessed with being perfect at school. So I was like, I'm going to get all this material down perfect. So I studied it all though. I didn't just memorize questions. That's the tough thing with memorizing questions. Like sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. But I really went through and made sure I got all those concepts down. I was like, okay. And, like, I know it's not going to determine how successful you are as an agent, but I'll tell you what, if you know that material, you got a good chance of, you're going to know the other products you're exposed to in the marketplace as well. Like, you're going to know this stuff. So it's like, it helps. And guys, like, if you want to make $1 million, but you're not going to take the test seriously, you're not going to take the course seriously. Now, Luan, I'm not saying, don't worry, I'm not targeting you, saying you're not taking anything seriously. And if you memorized all those questions, you're taking it pretty seriously. But what I'm saying is, like, guys, like, study your freaking course, take the test, invest in yourself. Like, go through it all. I'm sure you were sold some dream that you're going to make $1 million selling insurance or something, right? Everybody here was sold that idea. Yeah, it's for a month. Yeah. I'm sure, and reach out if you need to extend anything. That's fine. I have an agency. Yeah. Yeah, I do hire people for the agency, and people can work with me or not. I have some restrictions, though, and rules. Depends who you're working with already, stuff like that, because I have a lot of friends in the business, so I don't just hire everybody. But, like, guys, I work my ass. I make over $1 million a year, make over $30,000 a week, and, like, guys, like, I work my ass off, right? If you're gonna try to get lazy and skate by on this exam, and then think you're gonna do well in the business, like, come on. You know, you could be super intelligent and just go through it quick. That's fine. But all I'm saying is, if you're starting a new career and you want to be successful, like get the material down, put time into it. You don't have to go crazy. Like just spend a few hours a day for 10 days and then go take the test. You know, um, yeah. So someone asked, do I hire my own agents, insurance agents? How long do you send the practice exams for? Anybody who buys it today, I'll just do unlimited extensions. So anybody who gets the practice exams or my course today, unlimited extensions. After you buy the course, so you can just use the link that's in there for the practice exams. But after you buy the practice exams, you'll be offered to buy the course. So the course link, I'm going to post them here again. So, okay, another thing too. So I make money from courses and from agents who work under me who sell insurance. So a lot of people who hire you guys, they're going to say, hey, make all this money selling insurance. Most of the people who make millions of dollars selling insurance don't actually sell insurance. They have a team of people who sell insurance. So, but like, I knew that when I got into it and I said, all right, cool. Yeah, Shan, just reach out. I was like, okay, cool. That's fine. I'm just going to copy what they do. Yeah, just reach out to me, Shan. Email in the chat here. Oh, hold on. Put my email in the chat there. That's the right one. 1 second, guys. Okay. All right. If you guys have any other questions, you can just shoot me an email there. I appreciate your time tonight. I do have to go. I am on a little trip here. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Happy studying. Hope everybody passes.